Hello everybody, hope you all are doing good. In the last Zoom class, we have seen the introduction to 8086 and I'll brief you all with the kind of revision that we have seen in the last class and we will continue with 8086. Alright, so now I will be sharing with you the PDF of my handwritten notes of 8086. Alright, so before we went into 8086 in detail, we have seen a general procedure how your processor will go on move with a addition of three numbers. Here we have considered 21H, 42H and 12H, right? So H indicates hexadecimal number. So firstly, what we have done is we have considered a starting address of the memory, that is 1400 we have considered. So in that 1400, first step is moving the 21H data into register A, right? So moving that 21H into register A, for which the opcode is B0. Okay, we all know what is opcode, what is a mnemonic, what is an instruction, right? So I have taught this during 8085. Then now the opcode is B0. All right. So first what we have to do, we have to move one particular data in register A. The second step will be adding the 42H with the content of register A, right? Where in which 21H and 42H will be added and the data will be stored in register A, right? Then third step will be add again 12H with the content of register A. Now the content of register A will be the result of addition of 21H and 42H, to which we are adding 12H. Then the final result will be addition of all these three numbers. And this is a simple process that a processor goes through, which we already know, right? Now here, as you can see, all right, 1400 B0. What is B0? Move 21H to register A. B0 is the opcode used in order to move 21H to register A, right? Then next is the data, all right? So that is the opcode, and next is the immediate data. This we know already. Then 04 is the opcode used in order to add any data, right, to a particular register. Adding the code for adding a value to register A. What is that value that we are adding? 42H. So this 42H will be added to 21H. Then next, add 04 is again the opcode used in order to add a particular value to a particular register. So 04 is the opcode. What data are we adding? We are adding 12H. Okay. So next, the result will be now stored in register A, which we can fetch, right, from the memory. We know the procedure to fetch the data from the memory. F4 is used, opcode used to halt, right? This is a general process of a particular processor goes through in order to add three numbers, right? So this is a procedure that we are aware of and we have already seen in our previous classes, right? So the same explanation is given in point-wise, which you can go through, all right? Then next, what we have seen here is evolution of 8086, 8088, right? And we also have a brief history of 86 family, brief history of evolution of the processors, different processors, which we have studied in the previous chapter. Okay, so it is given in point-wise. Theoretical points are there, you can go through by yourself. And we are going to have another Zoom class wherein which we will be clarifying our doubts and we will be discussing on the topics that I have sent the recorded video. All right. All right, so we will now move on to the pipelining process, right? We know that this we have briefly seen in the previous unit also. There are in fact two different ways in which we can increase the speed of the processor. Okay, any processor, if you consider, if we want to increase the speed of that particular processor, there are two ways. What is the first way? Increase the working frequency. Okay, increasing the working frequency can be done by using more number of transistors. Okay. Now, there are a few challenges in case of increasing the working frequency. All right. What are the challenges? The designer has to make use of the available technology that is in the market, right? And he also has to take care of the cost, right? The designer has to see the available technology, and also he has to take care of the cost so that it can be affordable, isn't it? Then this is the first thing. This is the first way used in order to increase the processor speed. So to overcome these challenges, there is another way. What is another way? Change the internal architecture of the CPU. Okay, that is what we have done in 8086. All right, in 8086, we have changed the internal architecture. Okay, as we know that in 8085, okay, in 8085, we have seen, right, the CPU could either fetch the instruction at some given time, or it could execute a particular instruction at a particular given time, right? But whereas in case of here we can see fetching fetching of the instruction 1, execution of the instruction 1, then fetching of the instruction 2 and execution of the instruction 2, right? So either the fetching could be done at a particular given time, or the execution of a particular instruction will be done, right? Both cannot go simultaneously. Whereas in 8086, we can fetch the instruction 1, okay? Then a different part of the processor will execute that particular instruction. When a different part of the processor is executing the instruction 1, a particular a certain part of the processor is involved in fetching the instruction 2. So execution of the instruction 1 and fetching of the instruction 2 are going simultaneously. So this will increase the speed of the processor. Okay. Then execution of the instruction 2 and fetching of the instruction 3 will again take place simultaneously. All right. So this is a way, this is called as pipelining, which is implemented in 8086 by changing the internal architecture of 8086. Okay. How is the architecture? How does the architecture look like in 8086? We'll see that now. Okay. Now here, this is the architecture of 8086. Okay. Where in which you can observe here, there is something called as bus interface unit, and execution unit. Your bus interface unit is busy in fetching the data, okay, in accessing the memory and the peripherals, all right. Whereas your EU, that is execution unit, is busy executing the instructions fetched by your bus interface unit. Clear? All right, so this is one part. This is one part of the processor, and this is another part of the processor. Okay. All right. Here, okay. Now let us study the architecture of 8086 in detail. Okay. The entire memory is of 1 MB in case of 8086. Okay. The entire memory of 8086 is 1 MB. This 1 MB is divided into different parts of the memory. What are the different parts, which we call as segments? Different segments: code segment, extra segment, stack segment, and data segment. Okay. So the functions of these different segments of the memory are different. We will see that in detail. All right. To store the starting addresses. Okay, these different segments will be having their own starting addresses. When a big memory is being divided into 4 different segments, these different segments will be having their own starting addresses. To store these starting addresses, we have the respective registers. What are those registers? Code segment register, as you can see here, code segment register. All right, then you have extra segment register. Okay, all right, extra segment register, then stack segment register, then data segment register. All right, so these are the different segment registers used in order to store the starting addresses of different segments of the memory. All right, we will again study these segment registers in detail. All right, next is instruction pointer. It will point to the next instruction pointer. Okay, now here you can see this side on the execution unit AH AL. Okay, AH and AL together, it is called as accumulator register. Okay, AX is the 16-bit register, which can be split into lower byte register and higher byte register. AL is the lower byte of the register, and AH is the higher byte of the register. Then you have BX register, which can be split into BL and BH. Then you have CX register, that is can be split into CL and CH, lower byte and higher byte of the CX register. All right, then you have, just a minute, DX. This has to be DL and DH. There is a misprint here. Okay, so here this is DL and DH. All right, so it has to be DL and DH. This one. Okay, so all these are 16-bit in size. Then you have a register called as base pointer. Then you have DI, that is destination index. We will see the functions of all these registers in detail. Okay, we'll just get familiarized with the names of the different registers here. Source index register. Then you have stack pointer register. All right, stack pointer and all, we have already seen it, the functions and all, we have seen it in 8085 also, and the same function will be performed by the pointer registers in this 8086 also, right? Then, all right, so these data fetched by your bus interface unit will be multiplexed, will be transferred to the execution unit, wherein which your ALU will perform the particular function and it will execute the particular instruction, and the data will be updated. What data will be updated? The particular register will be updated depending on the instruction, and also the flag registers will be updated here. All right, depending on the different functions, results of the different functions. We have seen this in the 8085. Again, we will be studying here. Here the flag register size is, what is the size of the register here? It is 16-bit. All right, it is 16-bit. So different flags in the flag register will be updated depending on the result of a particular operation. All right. Then here we have something called as instruction queue. What is instruction queue? Your bus interface unit will keep on fetching the instructions. How many instructions it can fetch and keep it in store? 6 bytes of instruction in case of 8086 microprocessor, and 4 bytes of instruction in case of 8088 processor. All right. Whenever there is a room of 2 bytes, in case of 8086, it will immediately fetch the next instruction. And in case of 8088, whenever there is room of 1 byte, it will fetch the next instruction, right? So you can see here the same thing that I have explained here is written in points. You can also go through once. All right, we will also be discussing it in the next Zoom class. Right, the Intel implemented the concept of pipelining. So the concept of pipelining was implemented by this kind of architecture, right? That is EU and BIU. Okay, the same thing is explained here. All right, so the BIU accesses the memory and peripherals while the EU executes the instruction previously fetched. This works if the BIU keeps ahead of EU. Means keeps ahead of EU means the BIU has to keep on fetching the instructions. Okay, and whenever there is room for 2 bytes, then again immediately it should fill up that space with the next instruction. All right, so that buffer has a buffer or instruction queue, right? Here it is, instruction queue. So here this buffer is 4 bytes in case of 8088 and 6 bytes in case of 8086, which I told, isn't it? So this BIU fetches the BIU fetches new instruction whenever the queue has a room for 2 bytes in case of 6 bytes. That is in case of 8086, and 1 byte of instruction room for, if there is a room for 1 byte of instruction, then it will fetch the immediate next instruction in case of 8088. Okay. Now what happens if there is a jump instruction? This processor, whenever it comes across the jump instruction, what happens is BIU will start to fetch the information from the new location in the memory, flushing out the entire already existing queue. Whatever may be the queue, it will flush out the entire instruction queue, and it will fetch the instructions where it has jumped to a new memory location from the new memory location, right? Whenever we come across jump instructions, usually the processor, it will go to the new memory location, isn't it? So that instruction will be fetched, flushing out all the queue. In this case, in this situation, the EU must wait until the BIU fetches the new instruction. The EU has to wait in this case for a few seconds, right? Now, this process is called as branch penalty. Okay, there is something called as branch penalty. Whenever your 8086 comes across jump instruction, wherein which your BIU is forced to flush out all the instruction queue, and the new instructions set of instructions will be loaded into the instruction queue when it comes across jump instructions. Okay. All right. So the next topic is registers. Which we will see in the next video. Okay. Thank you all. Stay at home, stay safe, and stay informed. Take care.